fell a pillow. Tell the Inca not to feel bad for what happened today and Atahualpa, the Apu Machu says that you were fighting against a few men of great courage, and you should not be ashamed that you have lost the battle. Yanacona servant. Tell the Apu Machu that I came with unarmed men. He calls that an army? I entered the plaza in good faith, now I am his prisoner. I didn't let him come all the way to Cajamarca to fight against him. If that would have been the case, I could have decimated his forces in the Cordilleras under my General Rumanawi who wanted to kill all of them. Capito. Atahualpa says that you have betrayed him. Tell this heretic that he was not coming in goodwill. He was not a man to be trusted, but to be feared. Atahualpa, the Apu Machu says that you have committed many crimes. I am the lord of the land. I don't tell his emperor what to do with his subjects. Capito, he says that not your king or the pope can tell him what to do with his people. Explain to him that I don't kill Indians unless they resist. Me. Even then I am more merciful than he would have been with us if I had lost, and we still don't know where Rumanawi is. The old man says that you still have forces to attack them. Tell the Apu Machu that he doesn't have to worry about his safety, as long as he keeps me alive. I know he could have killed me, but he saved me from his own men. I think there should be some trust between the two of us. Then translate to him that he will have all his women and means of communication, until I decide what to do with him. Capito. Atahualpa says that your word is only of value if gold is given to you, and that you are going to die. This discussion and dinner has ended. We will see which one of us is going to lose his life first. After that turbulent evening, the victors searched among the dead and the dying for the spoils of war. Then they began ransacking the palaces and temples of all the gold and silver. The heavy litter of the Inca alone equaled the empty coffers of the crown, and from that moment on they would be filled with the sweat of our slavery for centuries to come. While the surviving natives were witnessing, the Spaniards were raping the young women and girls. Where in the history of mankind has a civilization fallen so suddenly and so mercilessly? It could only have happened in the Americas, the cradle of all unsung holocausts. Will the Indians rise someday? Only God, who brought us our misery, knows that our deliverance will not come from the heavens, it will have to happen on earth. But, by whom? Whoever that person is, he or she must feel the pain of what happened to our ancestors and what is happening to their descendants. Unfortunately, we have had whites, mestizos, and Indians in the seat of power, but to no avail. No one can change what ails our souls, which is the disdain that we all have for the Indian blood that runs in our living carcasses. In the dawn of a new day, the beginning of a new era had begun. When Christ died, they called that day Good Friday, an appropriate name for a day of mourning. Should we call a Good Saturday the moment the Inca civilization ended? That would be the time when we, Indians and mestizos alike, will be finally united. But we don't even remember when our end came to pass, let alone commemorate what happened to us not so long ago. That date has no meaning in our souls, and why every rising of the sun is a bad Saturday for us. The Spaniards had taken Atahualpa hostage, and he had HUÁSCAR captive. From there on, their confrontations would be wars of deception among the three of them. Francisco would outsmart the two Incas for gold, and the two brothers would try to outdo each other to save their lives. Would Francisco let Atahualpa continue as the lord of the land? That could be dangerous. Would Atahualpa allow HUÁSCAR fight the invaders? That would have been ideal. But it did not happen that way, because it is not in us to fight for our own survival. Instead, both tried to ally with their exterminators. Ever since, the vultures of the civilized world have descended to feast on the carcass of what we were, and we still live in the pestilence of their greed. There is no end to our saga, we will always be hostages to those tragic events. What happened to all the Indians of the Americas is written in volumes that corrode the soul of those who read our sorrowful past. Perhaps I should end with the 12th and legitimate emperor, HUÁSCAR. However, his brother changed our destiny. Not to be sacrilegious at the comparison, we have come close in numbers to the Christians of antiquity with their 12 apostles and the 13th, Jesus, who was crucified for the salvation of men. But Atahualpa, the 13th Inca, was no Christ. He was a man of flesh and bones who was sacrificed for the greed of men, and we have no Messiah to redeem us from our ongoing Holocaust. Atahualpa's curiosity satisfied, he finally understood that the strangers were not the Huiracocha demigods, but men like him. The Spaniards came to conquer the Incas, just like Atahualpa went south to subdue HUÁSCAR. But the Incas' conflict was for the dominance of the Andean world, unlike the invaders who had come to the new continent to aggrandize their hegemony. Now, all humanity is flourishing on the ashes of our ancestors, fertilized with the blood of the Indians of all the Americas. With that thought in mind, I return to my routine of doctoring children and ask myself, what am I writing? Is it I, or could it be the soul of my ancestors who are doing it for me? Am I thinking of myself as their deliverer? What a fancy of mine that a mestizo with a scanty white beard could be the Moses of the Indians. Pensive, I question why this outpouring of self-crucifixion. Maybe, I am trying to instigate bloodshed through my writing and not human enough to forget the past. My claim to the redemption of the Indians is so sterile that I don't even use my fist to grapple the pen and feel the pain of my toil. Instead, I edge the cryptic nebulous dots of my past onto the screen of the future. For what purpose? I do not know. Let us continue with our history, which is no longer that of the Incas, but of the Indians and the mestizos. Don Francisco, you are now the governor of Nueva Castilla. You had your first supper with the Inca, and the last for the Indians with the Spaniards. It is time for you to hang the innocent. Condor soul, to whom do you refer? I am referring to Atahualpa. His innocence makes him in the image of Christ, and you the executioner of both. For neither the Inca nor the Son of God should have ever been martyrs.